Hello everyone, I'm Raj, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about MySQL queries. I have written some of the queries. I'm going to explain you with you all. So before moving to with the queries, I want to talk something else. So right now I am right now I am working on MySQL queries, so which is new to me. But previously I was working on aggregations. Aggregation queries mostly used in MongoDB database. So MongoDB database is a NoSQL database, and aggregation as a queries we use in the MongoDB database. Now, when I started learning a MySQL database, with where in which it comes with the SQL database. MySQL database is a SQL database, structured query language. So, which is mostly used for write-heavy applications as compared to write-heavy applications. In write-heavy applications, we mostly use MongoDB database, no SQL database. But in read-heavy applications, we mostly use not mostly, but uh, uh, we use SQL databases. Now there are many SQL databases, and within those SQL databases, I'm learning MySQL databases, MySQL database. So let's move with the queries. So let me go to the queries first. Yeah. So the first query is asking me about the rights table with the field divider. Okay. So just in this query, I'm not just doing nothing but we are just creating the table which is containing some columns and some rows. So ID column is there, driver ID column is there, passenger ID is there, and similarly all other columns will be there. Now, the second question is that I have to add some data inside those rows, inside those columns rows. I have to make rows. I can say that. So the column will be ID, driver ID, start location, end location, similar like that. And the values which I'm going to put inside that, which will be this. So first will be the driver driver ID, and the first location, end location, distance, and right time and fare. Okay, so for that we use this type of query to inside the MySQL database. But if you think about the similar thing, if you try to do with the MongoDB, so aggregation will take place here, and the query, it's I think that it will be difficult or more complex uh, 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 as compared to the SQL queries. Okay, so the another thing is write query to fetch all the writes ordered by the fetch fare in descending order. Okay, so I'm not doing anything over here, but the thing is, I'm just selecting the all the data from the rights table and just making it in the form of descending order. So this is the purpose of this query. And the right and the another fourth query is I'm just selecting the I'm doing the sum of the distance and sum of the fares from the rights table. And the another query which is asking that we are just calculating the average of write time. We are just in this query we are just calculating the average of write time. Okay, so these are just simple queries. So I'm going a little bit fast to explain this. So after that, this query is what we are doing is we are selecting the data from the rights table where the start location is like which contains downtown, and in or in location contains the downtown. So we will get the data according to this query. Okay, now the another query is selecting the data and counting it and from the rights where driver is which is given to us. So suppose we are giving the driver ID and we are want to calculate the driver ID, the counts of those rights for that particular driver. Okay, so that is the query for that. After that, the things comes which is uh, uh, we are just updating the right and setting the ID where the ID is 4. We are just setting the ID ID is 30. Okay, and the last we are what we are doing is 9. Write what we are doing is the question is write a query to calculate the total fare for each driver ID. So to calculate the total fare for each driver ID, what we are doing is we are just selecting it and we are just selecting the data and summing the fares and from the rights table and grouping it by driver. But why we are grouping it? Because we want the total fare for each driver, for each individual driver. So for that reason, we are just grouping it. Okay, and the last writing is telling us that delete. We are just deleting the rights where I found the IDs to. So that is these are the some simple queries, and just let's move towards some of the advanced queries. So first query is asking about write a query to find out the rights with the highest and lowest fare. So for uh, lowest fare, we can see this simple query, which is selecting the data and ordering it in ascending order and just giving the limit as well because we want the lowest. Okay, and similarly for highest, we are just ordering the data in the descending order and we just keeping the limit is one. Okay, and the second query is we are just selecting data. We are calculating the average of fare, average distance from the right table and grouping it by driver because we want the average fare and average distance for each individual driver. Okay, each individual driver ID. Okay. Now the second is we are just selecting the driver ID and counting it as driver count, right count from the rights group by driver ID for for getting the for each driver ID and having the right count as 5. And whoever's driver ID is more than 5 rights, whoever having a driver having the right more than 5, we're just getting the driver ID of that. Okay. Now the next is that assume there is another table called drivers. Okay, and with the driver ID and name field, write a query to find the name of the driver with the highest fare. Okay. So for that, what we are doing is we need a join for that because we are interacting with two tables. So for interacting with the two tables, we need join which is the key which is provided by the SQL, which we can use to connect two orders. Sorry, two tables. Okay, so what we're doing is selecting the name from the drivers. So D indicates that drivers table. Okay, and to find the name. Okay. So D indicates that drivers. Okay, so name from the drivers table. From drivers. Okay, so D join rights. Okay, drivers join rights as R and on driver's ID. And what we are doing is we are comparing driver's ID, which is present at the driver's table, and the right driver ID, which is present at the rights table. And according to that, we are ordering it, by arrange. This ordering is nothing but arranging by the fares in descending order, and we were keeping the limit as well. So we will get the top uh, drivers who is having the fare highest fares. So who is having highest fare, we will get the that driver. Okay. Now the second query asking is write a query to find the top three drivers who have earned the most from fares, return the driver's ID and total earnings. Okay. So for that, we are doing is selecting driver's ID from the rights. Okay, and after that, driver's name we are selecting, and then we are summing up the fare from the rights, and we are considering it as a total earn. So fare we are considering it as a total earn from the rights, and we are just joining it. We are just joining rights table and the drivers table on the basis of driver's ID and the driver's ID which is present at the rights table and driver's ID which is present at the uh, uh, driver's table. And we are just grouping by driver ID and driver name for getting the individual driver name and order by total earn, arranging it. Okay. Order by and okay. So we need to put it at descending I think because we want a top three drivers. So for that reason, we are just putting it as this in the descending order, and then limit we are pushing it 3 because we want top 3 drivers which is having more fares. Okay, and the next we are remaining with 4 queries. So let's discuss another query, which is assuming there is a write date field of a date type in the writes table, write a query to find all writes that happen in the last 7 days. Okay, so if we are just selecting the data from the writes where ID write data is greater than equal to date sum, which is interval of 7 days. We are founding it right date which is greater than the last, the current date will be greater than last 7 days, right? So according to that we are finding it that last 7 days are should be less than it, and the current date which is today's date. So according to that we are finding it, and the next query is asking us about where we have to find all the rights where the end location is not set. Okay, so for that, just a simple query: select the data from the rights where end location is null or end location is empty. So simple. So write a query to calculate the fare per mile as for the each ride per mile order by fare per mile in the descending order. Okay. So what for that what we are doing is selecting ID as ride ID. We are taking ID as ride ID, and for distance per mile, for how we can calculate that. So fare divided by distance, we will get the distance per mile. Okay, from right table, and ordering or arranging it by distance per mile in descending. So this is how we can achieve that task. And the ninth query, which is telling us, assume there is another collection or not. We are not taking MongoDB, so let's cut the collection. There is another table called passengers with passenger ID and the name field. Write a query to return a list of all rides, including the driver's name and passenger's name. Okay, so we are just selecting driver's ID, driver's rights, ID from the rights table as a ride ID, name from the driver's table as a driver name, name from the passengers table as a passenger name, and we are just selecting the start location, end location, distance, right time, and fare from the rights table from giving the right table. And now we are need to join the table because we are connecting here at least 3 tables we are connecting over here. So there is a connection between 3 tables. So join drivers on rights driver. We are comparing rights driver ID from the rights table and driver ID from the drivers table. So we are joining it. And second thing, another thing we are joining is passengers. On passengers, what we are doing is passenger ID. We are from passenger ID from the rights table and the passenger ID from the passengers table. So we are joining it, and this answers the this nine number of query. And the last query, which is simple query, let's cut the collection. Okay, and write the query to add a tip field to the rights table. So for that, we can do is alter the table. For that, what is asking this 10th number queries, we have to alter the table. So alter the rights, add the column tip. So simply we can do this like this, altering the table rights and adding the column as tip. So thank you for listening this video, and I will be come back with my another video as well. So thank you.